Watch me dance, dance the night away. My heart could be burning, but you won't see it on my face. Watch me dance, dance the night away. I'll still keep the party running, I wouldn't hear out of place.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to your Monday episode of Sunup on 7. I am Kevin Mendes.
And I'm Miriam Abdul-Kawi. Good morning, Belize.
Welcome to your Monday episode. Miriam, let's tease and what can they expect on today's show?
Yeah, so get ready, folks, because we're going to have a very juicy beef.
Yeah, with a side of like Mexican redazzle, whatever it is, you know. But it's definitely going to be great beef. Jules is joining us on the couch today, but what else do we have?
Yeah, we also have Sagicor coming in, so if you have any questions about your mortgage or things like that, they will be answering those questions for you. We also have a recent case study coming in regards to the LGBTQ, women's rights, things like that. So listen in if that's a concern for you as well, Kevin. So a nice, packed show.
I agree. But folks, thank you so much for welcoming Miriam and I into your space. Miriam, let's go to the couch.
Let's do it.
Watch me dance, dance the night away. My heart could be burning, but you won't see it on my face. Watch me dance, dance the night away.
I've come to find that the truth isn't what we were told. So where
to everybody on Sunup.
do I seek the answer that's worth looking for today? Just in time,
And he's here to talk to us
the
about
writing
Sunup
appears on
the
the
show that we're on
wall.
right now. Tell me, this
You
is what
and
you're bringing.
I were the first ones to see.
And we're going to be talking about the hush that has been
The
happening
world
over the
that
weekend.
we see
So
may
far.
seem that it'll never change. They say, but if you tear down the wall that's blinding us all, you'll see the way today. A place to call your home, a place where you can grow. Stand by me and we'll take flight. We'll be there at morning's light.
Muy buenos dias, my beautiful Sunup on 7 family. Welcome to your Monday episode. Thank you so much for welcoming Miriam and I into your space. It's February 23rd. I'm very excited about this Monday episode. Before we get into it, let's bring in the weather, and that's courtesy of the Belize Met Service.
Good morning. A cold front is crossing the country and will bring cooler temperatures today and tonight. The 24-hour forecast is for cloudy, cool, and windy conditions with a few showers and periods of light rain, mainly along the coast and over southern districts this morning, with showers and rain decreasing this afternoon. Tonight will be cold and windy with little or no rain. Winds over the open sea will be from the north at 15 to 25 knots with higher gusts. Seas will be rough, especially in northerly swells beyond the reef. There is a small craft warning in effect, and small crafts should seek safe harbor. High temperatures today will be around 75 degrees Fahrenheit both inland and along the coast, except only 68 degrees up in the mountains. The outlook for Tuesday and Tuesday night is for variably cloudy and cool weather with the chance of light isolated showers developing offshore. There is a low tide at 7:36 this morning. A high comes up at 1:40 this afternoon. Another low is at 9:34 tonight, and another high at 3:54 tomorrow morning. Sunrise this morning is at 6:14, and sunset this evening is at 3 minutes before 6. The moon comes up at 10:28 this morning and goes down at 6 minutes after midnight tonight. In the fire risk forecast, the risk for forest and brush fires will be low today. With that, we end this report from the Belize Weather Bureau.
Folks, that was your weather update. Let's dress accordingly and enjoy the cold front that's coming in today. But what's going to warm you up is Jules' Monday morning beef. Serving Jules, good morning. How is the serving of the beef going to be today?
Oh man, this the one. Tough beef.
Yeah?
Yeah, Bito.
But you
Tough.
brought like some Mexican salsa for this beef.
Big.
I just, yeah, Mexican salsa.
Yeah.
Boy, yeah, that part is burning hot. But yeah, I'm prepared.
Your
Very
favorite.
good.
Okay.
We have a long list, so make we power
Yeah,
through it.
let's get through it, Jules. The first topic is Mexico's cartel boss killing. And the question is, could it spill over to Belize?
Please, yeah.
Yeah, so they killed the Mexican state. Killed El Mencho, who is a leader. His full name is Nemesio Oseguera Cervantes. And so they killed him in a coordinated attack by the Mexican army.
Yeah, there you go.
And I think we have some video as well. Let me just make sure we send that in. But yeah, 1 second. But my point is that when these things happen, it has an effect immediately on Belize. We are a neighboring country. And what is everybody's concern is that it will spill over into Belize. So I think that for those in the north, there's a lot of fear. Certainly, it's been happening in Cancun. So since he got killed, El Mencho, there's been outbreaks of violence, retaliation by the cartel against the state.
Yes.
Right? There have been direct acts of retaliation. Now, hold that picture. I will come back to that. But
Yeah.
there have been direct acts of retaliation. There have been what you call narco roadblocks,
Yes,
which
fires.
vehicles set on fires on the highway. Mexico is a vast country. It's been happening in various states. It's happening, most of it is happening in Jalisco, right, where there's the tourist place of Puerto Vallarta, and the Guadalajara airport. Terror was created there. So there is a tense state of fear in Mexico right now prevailing. And it has also reached into Quintana Roo, right? In Cancun, we have seen events in Tulum, in Playa del Carmen, mostly the burning of drugstores like the Oxxo, or the supermarkets or vehicles set on fire. These are not so far attacks targeting civilians. They are retaliations against the state to create chaos, disorder, and fear. Now, you know, the cartel, Jalisco Nueva Generación, is a transnational organization. You know, its linkages go from South America over to Australia even, I have
Wow.
read, Africa as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a large transnational organization. And when the CEO, because the cartel boss is the CEO, when he is killed, there will be immediately chaos in the aftermath. But the work of that transnational organization, which is to smuggle illicit product, they even farm avocados, by the way,
Yeah.
to show you how diversified these groups are.
Yes.
The work continues, but there's a splintering, and that's the concern for Belize, that whenever you have a splintering of these large and powerful groups, you have violence. And we know that cartels are very active in the Quintana Roo area, and specifically in Chetumal. And we know that cartels are linked directly to what happens in the Corozal Free Zone. The Corozal Free Zone exists principally for the smuggling of goods into Mexico, dry goods and tobacco. And the movement of the tobacco is controlled by the cartels. Each tobacco line, each brand of tobacco has a cartel that controls it. And this is very cheap tobacco made by the China Tobacco Company.
Okay.
The cigarettes are very cheap, and they're funneled into prisons controlled by these various gangs. Now, it might sound simple to us, but you magnify the scale of operation that they have, and you're selling cigarettes for 50 cents or $1 for the pack, which is how much it sells for because it's very cheap tobacco. I'm just saying, Belize is linked directly through the Corozal Free Zone with the cartels. And we would want to think that only tobacco is coming in those containers, but anything could come in those containers because it's being smuggled, right? It's being smuggled. There are linkages all the way into Jamaica. It comes from China to Jamaica to Belize. It's a vast network of criminality, and Belize is and has been a part of it for a very long time. And everybody just whistles past the graveyard because the free zone creates jobs and it employs half the people in Corozal, and we can't do anything about it. Well, something is going to happen eventually or soon, right? Because you cannot allow that level of criminality to coexist right in your own country and pretend it's not there. It infects everything. And we have seen the crossover effect of this illicit trade. So I'm just saying, so far we haven't seen any events of violence in Chatamal. I haven't seen any reported. I'm sure maybe there's something out there on Facebook. But so far we've only seen in Tulum, Playa, and Cancun. And again, violence against the state. We have many Belizean students there, and the Belizean students have been like we have going to Anahuac in Cancun, that university. I think there's one in Merida as well. They've been told they're going online. So everybody is more or less who can afford to shelter in place. They're being told to shelter in place for right now. There's great tension, fear, and instability in Mexico, and we know that there are operatives of that cartel here in Belize. Show that piece of graffiti from Corozal that we showed earlier on the park bench. This had appeared 1 year ago on a park bench in Corozal.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Cartel Jalisco Nueva Generación, right? So no, it could just be idleness.
Yeah.
But I can say factually, there are functionaries of that cartel in Belize, and that cartel has its own interlinkages with the Caborca cartel, which has its linkages in Belize. I will tell you factually, there was a special police escort accompanying a PUP representative in the north who was seeking re-election and gained re-election, but there was a special cadre or a special operational unit of police officers keeping an eye on him because of very specific threats that had been picked up by intelligence sources saying that he would not be safe on election day.
Wow. Okay.
Saying that harm would come to him on election day from the cartels. No, I know that factually. There was a special unit assigned to watch that politician. Nothing happened, thank goodness. It was either overstated threat, false intelligence, but the police believed that there was credible intelligence which could affect the safety of a politician seeking office.
Yeah.
And it wasn't Hugo Pat, but I know Hugo Pat from Corozal North, which is the northernmost constituency in the country. He told me he had stopped his campaigning 1 year ago. He had stopped his campaigning a week before elections. They don't campaign at night, which is when you campaign when people are at home, because of the dangers, because they are an adjacent community. So I'm saying the spillover is active, it is inevitable, and it's active because of the Corozal Free Zone. And because we are near to each other, next to each other. So we'll just have to look at it.
true.
Moving on.
But I can also add, Jules, is that,
go ahead.
is that this cartel is not, we've had news reported about people that are traveling through the United States bringing vehicles.
Yes,
that
that's
they've been
right.
extorted by this particular.
Yes,
Yeah.
they have been extorted by this cartel, and there are people bringing vehicles down right now. I think one of them posted last night that it can't move because all the roads are locked off.
Yeah.
So there are Belizeans in transit right now.
Yeah.
Very good point. Bringing down vehicles, and it's a source of great anxiety for their families that
of course.
they're caught up in the middle of this. But this is the state of things.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
you said that spillover is inevitable
Spillover is
from the border to our border. I mean,
Yes, well, I'm saying that the linkages are
The
active.
link
Yeah.
is there.
Every day there are interactions.
Yeah.
We have very porous borders, and there's stuff moving across our borders north, right? And it's moving with the power, with the economic power and the logistics of the cartel.
Yeah,
Right.
Jules, yes. Also yesterday on social media, it's up. There's like travel advisor for Belizeans.
Yes.
Yes,
it's-
the government, I think we have that, guys.
Yeah.
The government put out a travel advisory urging Belizeans. Do we have it up right now, guys? But they put out a travel advisory for Belizeans. Allow me to read it.
Yeah.
And it says that, you know, be extremely cautious in your movements over there. And also, let me just read it. I don't know if we have it. Okay, the government advises all Belizeans resident or transiting Mexico to exercise a high degree of caution and to be conscious of their environment at all times, to avoid non-essential travel to Jalisco, Michoacan,
Michoacan, yeah.
Guerrero, Nuevo Leon, Belizeans, particularly in Merida and the northern areas of Quintana Roo, are to exercise caution and monitor local warnings and official forums.
wow.
So, yeah, that is officially from the government of Belize, which does not frighten easily. But yeah, so it's certainly not a time to go over to Chet Picharlar,
Definitely not, Jules.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But let's move on to our next topic.
Yes.
Yes. So now let's talk about the Senate showdown looming.
Yeah. There is a virtual Senate meeting planned for tomorrow.
Okay.
There's a virtual Senate meeting scheduled for tomorrow. And it may be canceled, right? This is how the virtual meetings look. They're garbage, I will tell you that. I have been going to the House and the Senate since 1994. This is ridiculous, especially how they visualize it. That's not satisfactory. That's not the people's business. Me, I am an end user. I am a media professional. I have been there for 32 years covering the House and the Senate.
Yeah.
That is not real. So I have a great dissatisfaction with that.
Is there like motive why it's going
So
virtual?
when they did this last month, on the 23rd, I believe, I said, okay, it's because they're in the final stages of preparing the Senate,
Okay.
of preparing the building. But the building is ready, so I thought this Tuesday's Senate meeting would be in the chamber, the lovely Hyatt Regency level chamber that we now have. But I was surprised to see that it will be another virtual meeting. You see, something has happened. In this administration of the PUP, starting in the mid-2020s or early 2020s, from my experience, 3 decades of experience in Parliament, the Senate and the House have always moved in lockstep. What do I mean by that? You have a House meeting on Friday, the bills go to the Senate, they deal with it on the following Tuesday or Wednesday, most usually Tuesday. That's how it works. Friday is the House meeting, Tuesday, 3 working days later, 2 working days later. But since we have a leader of government business, Eamon Courtney, I don't know if it's because he's a very busy man. He leads the largest, most successful law firm in the country. But I noticed that they're no longer in lockstep. The House meets, and then you hear about a Senate meeting weeks later, and a backlog builds up. That is my observation. And it seems that they have a lot before them, and they want to deal with the backlog. These are the bills, some of the bills in the backlog. There are 10 or more bills backed up,
Wow.
right? So the proposal was that these bills would be heard in a quick virtual meeting, since there won't be much debate about those, or that is not foreseen. There would be a quick meeting to dispose of those.
Wow.
A quick virtual meeting that might take an hour and a half. So it's a housekeeping meeting. That may serve a practical purpose, but it's not the work of the people. Meeting of the Senate by electronic means, this is how it is defined in the law. Notwithstanding, the president may grant leave for the Senate to meet virtually. Great. If in the interest of public health, public safety, national security, or public emergency, it is necessary for the Senate to meet virtually.
Yeah.
We don't see
I
any of
do
that.
not see those preconditions prevailing. Do not expose us to this nonsense again. This, look at that. That and how they visualize it is so terrible. That another the people business, man.
Yeah.
I can't, like, I find that intolerable. This standard that was presented to us is intolerable.
Yeah, I just like to think that the
Intolerable.
modality doesn't allow itself for a debate, because we know how virtual spaces go. People are quiet on their phones,
Yes.
distracted.
Yeah,
It does not
really
allow for the
engaged.
proper discussion around these bills to take place.
Yeah.
You know, and the leader of government business said something very important at that. I'm sorry. The senator for the business sector, apologies, said something very important at that meeting about the BTL SpeedNet acquisition. And I thought it was minimized because of this ridiculous format. Nobody wants to watch that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I'm saying that I consider it an abuse of the provisions. That's me, just Jules, just an observer. However, something has happened because so when these meetings happen, all the PUP then got a Courtney Coy law firm. I think all the UDP, I guess, then got a UDP secretariat. But the independent senators are in a different position. They are not in a party. So they said, well, we're going to go do it the Senate. No. This seems like a harmless, practical proposal, but really, I interpret it as a subtle act of protest against the president of the Senate and indirectly the leader of government business to say, well, we will still honor the chamber, but that poses a problem because then that creates a hybrid meeting.
Yeah.
Some people are there and some people aren't there, so that's called hybrid. And it's not, there's no provision for it
Yeah.
under the electronic meeting, right? So now there is a standoff between the president of the Senate, the leader of government business, and the independent senators. And there is the Senate is a very genteel place, right? They play by Queensberry rules and everything. Oh, I don't want to argue. Oh, it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
Right? I know they're pan that, but that is their culture, right? That is the tradition of the Senate. But there is like a microaggressive revolt, a microaggression opposition to this, what is interpreted, and certainly I interpreted that, an abuse of the provision for an electronic meeting. So there is this tension between them, and I think they may cancel the meeting. The president may, in her wisdom, cancel the meeting because you can't have a hybrid meeting. And the senators are nicely saying, the independent senators are nicely saying, no, we want to honor the chamber. Let us meet in chamber. It's practical for us. We don't want to go to the Oceana office or the chamber office. So,
Yes, they're still meeting virtually tomorrow.
yeah, well, that was the notice issued last week.
Okay.
But we will see what happens tomorrow. But I'm saying it's important. You say, remember, these senators are not happy with the government.
Yeah,
They
that's what I'm
said
thinking.
we will form a unified bloc.
Yeah.
These 4 senators are working together.
Yeah.
And in the public interest, and I certainly associate myself with anyone who is opposed to show that ridiculous virtual meeting again, guys. Anyone who is opposed to this jawbone format when I put forward. That the one jawbone format. That enough for the people. That is for the convenience of the leaders of the Senate. That is not for the public discourse. That is housekeeping. And I can understand it once, but twice in a row. Gosh, man, we got a new $6 million chamber.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
yes.
but we'll see what happens tomorrow or what happens today, if they proceed with the meeting or they cancel it. But there is certainly tension for the control of the Senate. For, because the president controls it, the government side controls it. But do they really? Do they really? Right? They have the numbers. Agreed, they have the numbers. Majoritarian principle. Amen.
Yeah.
But do they really? There are these subtle microaggressions threatening that. So let's see what happens.
Definitely. Jules, let's talk about Donald Pan's political leadership. Owes the Alvarez family a public apology?
I will remain calm.
Okay.
So,
Disclaimer.
because this one is hard.
Yeah.
You all discussed it already on Sunup, and so this young man was killed 10 days ago. Are we able to bring up? Yes.
Okay.
these two young men were killed. Mr. Alvarez, 20 or 21 years old, he's a resident of Belmopan. That's, his family put up the cross, or their families. And the mayor and the area representative were quick to disown him, to say the violence comes from outside.
Okay. Yeah, they did say that.
Yeah.
They said the violence no come from here. That's what the mayor said. The violence no come from here. Show the quote from the air representative. The air representative, Mr. Mira, said the violence doesn't come from here. It comes from outside, come from the villages, the hinterlands. Because he no look like we.
Yeah.
He no look like we. He's black. He's not from Belmopan. He's a rapper. He's not from Belmopan. Please bring up the quote. It is a spill-off of what happened in Democracia. And these guys come to hide in Belmopan. That's what he said.
Yeah.
Well, the young Mr. Alvarez, allow me to tell you.
Okay.
He's a son of the soil of Belmopan. His mother showed a birth certificate, gave us his birth certificate. They're trying to disown and deny this young man his birthright because he don't look like them. That's his birth certificate, born at Belmopan, died in Belmopan. The soil that birthed him is the soil where he bled out. But you will deny him this othering because he not look like we.
Yeah.
He don't look like we. We don't like see. That is the most naked form of prejudice and racist belief that has been publicly expressed in many decades. Remember, 2 decades ago in Belmopan, I covered this story. A former PUP mayor, he referred to the people as Indians. The Indians are taking land. We not got Indians here, brother. We got Mayas, and any land they take that, the land we take from there. Because that they hold on this land.
Yeah.
So let us understand the history of conquest. But there is a pathology in the PUP of othering.
Yeah.
Then are not like we. These gentlemen, Mira and Kawich, owe the Alvarez family a public apology. Imagine if they tell me, Breads,
Yeah.
that you not come from, Jules never come from Belize City.
Yeah.
You don't know from here because we don't like see you. You don't look like we. We don't like your vibes. I don't got veins. I have drains. That's the way I have.
Yeah.
I don't have blood. I have mud. My mud is in the drain between the canal and the Caribbean Sea. That is who I am. And imagine if I die, you ain't saying, no fire.
Yeah.
You disinherit somebody. You deny them their birthright. The insult to that family. Because he doesn't look like us. Because we are trying to shift the blame.
Yeah.
Shift the focus. It's not here, it's there. It's in the villages. No, it is in Belmopan. Be honest and apologize. Show some grace instead of racism and prejudice and othering. No, you will not get away with that. That is unacceptable, gentlemen. A public apology is required. Do you know the pain
The mom.
for the mother and the family? She works for the government of Belize, right at Belmopan. You know, they come in from the village, you live right at Belmopan. But because they are the shining city on a hill, they can't have no lead black boy, they get killed ya. And he bring that in, man. He can ask for that. That is one of the most monstrous public acts of racist discrimination we have seen. They owe the family an apology. The PUP owes the family an apology. The blue tent hangs very low. Hangs very low. But it's this thing that We are the shining city on a hill.
Yeah, so
Well,
don't mess up our reputation.
Don't,
Don't come here.
don't mess up
He's
our
not from
image.
here.
When the rain falls, it don't fall on one man house. The violence is across this country. They are ashamed of the violence that has been stewing, so they want to blame it on the outsider, the boy who not look like we.
Yeah.
It is frightening, and if it is not corrected or it is not apologized for, it will signal that we have gone down a path of perdition. When we are saying to sons of the soil,
Yeah. Fire. Yeah.
you don't know fire. My goodness, can you imagine the pain of the family being denied? It's like you're stateless. You are from this city, Breds. Your mom worked at this city.
Yeah.
You made try and make it in this city.
Yeah.
But because you don't look the right way, you don't know from here. Brutal.
Yeah.
Brutal. Social brutality.
Yeah, definitely. And then already on top of that, experiencing a trauma of the loss, and then being told that on top of that, it's like a disregard of what happened to him and who he is and where he's from.
Yeah. It's really monstrous.
All right.
So we hope for an apology.
Yeah. All right, Jules. So we're going to move on to the next point in regarding to Anthony Mahler's his fatigue and the meaninglessness of you didn't vote criticism.
Okay, Anthony Mahler had a vulnerable moment last week when he said, you know, I just saw 75 people, and you know the demands are so great, and 1 year in the Musa administration is 3 years, so I've been in office for 30 years. Let me give my gut reaction. Breds, you never even face an election. You never face an election. You never even have to go through an election for election day.
Yeah.
Remember? They won by default.
Yes.
No no UDP, nobody else show up. You never even face an election, man. Ministers are, listen. He referred to social media. He referred to the revolution of rising expectations. Listen, we're all besieged by this. There are many days. If you interview me 7:30 at night when I left here, I say I'd retire tomorrow. Because the swarm of social media, the intensity of public life, of the public discourse, it affects us in the media very directly, constantly. Boy, then post that. How you not post that? It's intense, and it has changed dramatically from year 1 to now I'm in year 32. It has changed the intensity and the velocity of information.
Yeah, because it's quick.
And it comes.
Yeah.
It knock you in your head and knock you off your foot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I understand the bewilderment and the state of feeling under siege. I definitely understand. But it is the job we choose. I can't left here every night and say, I want to cry. I done. That's how I feel many nights.
Yeah.
But you just have to put your head down, and in the morning you'll feel better. But we all have vulnerable moments, and we try not to externalize or verbalize. But, Mr. Mahler, sir, while I sympathize, this is the job we chose.
Yeah, you signed up.
You
for
could have
this.
check out, they never just start happen. This, and may I say, this is a man with many offices. This is a man who lives, as most politicians elected in government politicians do, I believe, a quite luxurious life in comparison to the average person. I don't grudge anybody how they live. God be with you. But let us be real, man. When they travel around the world, you know, the state is a very generous employer to ministers of government. You don't have to worry about a whole lot. Your fuel, you got a fuel card. You have multiple offices. You have it okay. So while we all in the assault of everyday life, in the bewildering assault of need of everyday life, we all feel overwhelmed. We all have to learn, as best as possible, not to externalize in the moments of greatest stress, because it'll be better in the morning.
Yeah.
Who knows? You might wake up in a fine European country flying first class to another European
Yeah.
country.
It's also like toying with people's feelings in a way because it makes you want to have a bit of sympathy. Be like, oh, you're doing a great job. You know, like,
Poorly.
let's support you
Yeah.
harder. you
Yeah.
know?
So you feel that like it's emotionally manipulative.
Yeah, I definitely feel that.
That's. I think that's a valid.
Oh, you're doing such
Yeah.
a great job. I'm sorry, 75 people, that's a lot. We're going to support you harder.
Exactly. Love you harder.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. I think certainly you have something there, but you know, as you hear it, you just want to say, "Poor little rich boy." Like, I'm just saying, it's you know, to say that 1 year under the Musa administration is now 3 years or something like that. Well, imagine what it was during the Esquivel administration or during the Price administration. Mr. Musa used to say 1 year is 10 years.
Yeah.
But this is the job you chose,
Right.
right? Like
Yeah.
it's not like this just happened. That, you know, let us understand, we have a very diseased culture of politics. What he's referring to is the problem of clientelism.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And there's no solution coming up and saying, okay, I am tired of this. Like, it's exhausting. But
you would need
and what
an
can I-
entire shift in
Exactly.
the culture
What
of
will I
politics
change about this?
for everybody to say,
That's-
we abandon clientelism.
And yeah.
But it's difficult to abandon clientelism because the electorate is corrupt, I'm sad to say. The elected are corrupt, I'm sad to say. And so you just have everybody in the same situation and say, give me more, and then the next side is say, take more.
Yeah.
Right? And that's really, I will be honest with you, I've observed it for many years. That's how corruption starts. Because the politician is under such pressure to provide for funerals, to provide for accommodations, to provide everything. And so the politician can't take it out of family money or his or her own personal finances. So then they have to go beg for donations. Then let's say you get a donation of 100,000, which is not uncommon in politics. That's baby money. Okay, 50 for them, 50 for me. That's how it starts, I'm telling you. It all becomes a mess because you're getting so much money, you're giving so much money, but then you're starting to keep money as well because there's no rules on campaign financing. It's a totally deregulated system. But it's this need that people corner your house, they line up.
Yeah.
But how did we get here? You know, we talk about the great father of the nation. George Price invented clientelism. We have to start telling the truth. But let's move on.
Yeah.
I sympathize with your brother, Anthony.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
we're moving on to the.
But the meaninglessness of the you didn't vote.
Yeah, let's
I
talk
want to
about
get to
that.
that because I saw Ralph Fonseca, dearly departed. He's interviewing the new Harold Young book.
Yeah.
And he was still criticizing me, going in a friendly way, for saying I don't vote. And I repeat, I don't and I won't. But, you know, and John Briceño, the good prime minister, has criticized me for this as well. That to take a principled position that I don't vote, and I've explained it well enough. I refuse to engage in a binary system which offers two of the same nonsense options. And B, I stand in judgment of people, so you could never say, I can vote or either UDP or either PUP. I know they'll say it. Well, I don't do the most basic thing you do when you support anything. I don't vote.
Yeah.
So you can't say I support any P, because I don't go out there. Anyway, whatever. Can't please people. My point is, though, they have so much criticism for me and my not voting, and encouraging others not to as well in a corrupt system. But they have no criticism, they have no urgency to change the colonial law which allowed two persons, Henry Charles Usher and Anthony Mahler, to ascend to office without election. Those people didn't vote. Fort George voters didn't get a chance to vote. Pickstock voters didn't get a chance to vote. But the politicians, the ruling politicians, no have no problem with that. They never vote, just like me. They don't have no rush to do that. To change that law, to require at least a minimum, whatever, negative resolution, something that you could say, at least 30% of the people voted for me, even if they have no choice.
Yeah.
You have to have some mandate that derives from the people. You cannot win by default. That is a colonial law meant to elevate people of money and power. It's a colonial law.
Yes.
But you know, yeah, nobody talk about it. Left that so. Then people never vote, but that good, then get a good representative. So then don't criticize anyone else who doesn't vote, who is a conscientious objector to voting, as am I. Because it's a nonsense argument. People who lost their franchise because of this default process, they have no urgency to change the law for them.
Yeah.
So let us end that argument
Yeah,
now.
you know, Jules, I have to say that I appreciate you always bringing this you didn't vote criticism, because it has gotten so much into people's head that people, because they do not go to vote, because they're not okay with the system, they just shut down and they have nothing to say. And I'm like, how do you get people to get involved? It's gotten so engraved that I'm like, people just feel like I have no right to say anything because I never vote.
Well, it's the most pernicious criticism
It really is. Yeah.
that the politicians like to put on you. This myth that if you never vote, you can't complain. I can't complain because of the mud where they in my drains. I am a citizen. That is my right to complain. Complain night and damn day. Night and day. You will never deprive me of my right to complain. I will not play in your children's game of red and blue, 1 and 0. Which one you are? 0? Whoa, you lose, bye-bye. No! I will not play your child's game. And I will not have my citizenship validated by your fraudulent electoral process. No, sir! I am a conscientious objector to voting for Black Dog and Monkey.
Yeah.
I rest my case.
Right. So let's move,
Test my blood pressure.
yes,
Move on quickly.
yes, the
Now let's talk
customs,
about-
the customs big bite.
The customs big bite. Let's show the numbers again, Denver. You know, I've continued to research this customs big bite, right? That's what you get. So let's hold on there. Bring back the 6,092 one. Bring it back, yeah. So now, I am told that in a formula like this, what the person is told, what the importer, the vehicle importer is told.
Yeah.
Listen, this whole thing can cost you the real duty at 10 grand.
Yeah.
Here we went though, when you on discount, you only pay 6 grand. That's the bottom line. Bring it back up, you only pay 6 grand. The government can get 2,000 or short of that, and we can get 4,000. So you get 140% discount, the government gets 20%, and the biters get 40%. Move it on, Denver. So I'm just saying, I want to, or that's the understanding I get of the formula. There's actually kind of like a kind of formula. The government loses 150 to 200 million annually. It is estimated in revenue leakage through this corrupt system.
Wow. Jesus.
So when the Prime Minister casually says, whatever he meant, that he finds it shameful and that the buck stops with him. He said the buck stops with him. John Briseño, sir, that is a very big buck. Anybody else losing over 100 million in revenue, any CEO of any company, you get fired, sir. He said the buck stops with me. That's a lot of bucks. That's 100 million in bucks, Mr. John. The buck stops with you. You gotta go. You gotta go. Now I understand this problem is generational. But the size and scale of the bite has gotten so big. While I certainly do not think the good Prime Minister would ever be involved in such a nefarious scheme, certainly there has to be some level of eyes wide shut. There has to be some level of knowing who the big players are and saying, left that so. At some level, someone has to know we're not a big country. Someone has to know who is the apex feeder in such a system, or who are the apex feeders. You can't not know. And I think for a long time it has continued, just that the scale has increased. The scale of the bite, the size of the bite has increased. But I think that for many years, prime ministers or ministers of finance have just said, man, left that so, because they know it feeds a certain system. Maybe the system feeds back to them. I don't know.
Yeah.
I would never say that of the good Mr. Briceño, but I'm saying that someone has to know. And if we are having over $100 million in revenue leakage, and you said a buck stops with you, sir, that's a lot of bucks.
Yeah.
But let us understand, this is not just isolated. There is an entire operation of money laundering tied into the car buying, car dealing business. Not at the basic level, not at the intermediate level. A lot of man then just to bring things to try and sell. But at the highest level. Let me explain money laundering. I only know about it academically. Money laundering is created by too much cash. You have more cash than you can legitimately spend, and you certainly cannot bank it. So you have to spend it illegitimately. You have to spend it wildly. You have to invest in real estate. You have to invest in cement buildings. You have to invest it, and you have to pay everybody in cash. You have to invest in bringing in vehicles. So you buy so much vehicle and you bring them in, and then you sell them. That's how the money is laundered. That's how you turn the money over. And whenever you see big systems like this in operation, so many vehicles being brought in, it begs the question, is money laundering involved? Based on my investigation, and I've been digging, there is a money laundering, a large money laundering aspect to it, where people with lots of cash are moving to get vehicles in, to sell them, to turn that money over. So all these things are linked in. And we just, I continue to dig.
Jules, but now let's talk about nexus with money laundering.
Yeah, so I'm just saying that's
Okay.
that's the nexus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The abundance of cash, the abundance of vehicles, and the urgent need to sell them for, I think, sometimes some very good prices. But the need, all these things are linked up, and because of the people I'm hearing involved, it's linked right back to the commercial free zone, the carousel free zone as well. Right?
Wow.
Yeah. So it's all a big web of criminality, money laundering, and corruption. These things work together.
Yeah.
Guys,
Jules,
we're
move
late.
on to
Moving
our
on.
next topic. And, let's continue with getting an update on the current status of the SpeedNet acquisition.
SpeedNet acquisition. So where are we with that? Well, the public consultations that they've spoken about so much haven't started. I think they
Have not started.
have not started.
Okay.
But I think the acquisition is, I don't know, it's in a tough spot. I think the Prime Minister is under pressure to deliver. Certainly he is for Mr. Ashcroft. And I believe Mr. Ashcroft wants this deal concluded. I believe parties have been pushing for this deal since 2020, after the PUP won. My instinctual feeling is that was always somehow in the plan. You form a business with the future Prime Minister, although the future wasn't always guaranteed for John Briceño. If anything goes wrong, you have a hell of a backup plan. You can make a state I don't know.
Yeah.
But my point is that I think that it's in trouble. I think the Prime Minister knows how unpopular it is. I think he knows how much he's risking, and I want to be very clear. They're in a tight spot. Social Security has demanded 3 years of financials. Social Security has asked for that before they move on. That's a part of their due diligence. I don't think SpeedNet is prepared to provide that. And I think that is what forced the pause.
Okay.
So nothing to do with the National Party Council.
Oh, yeah,
resolution.
scenery.
Scenery.
I think that they're stuck at Social Security because they do not want to give these 3 years of financials. I think they're stuck because multiple parties are clamoring for an independent valuation. And the valuation they have, my interpretation, is certainly not independent. Although the Prime Minister maintains that it's done by a accountancy in Brazil with a local office here, the problem is no one is satisfied that that is independent because the principal person here for that accountancy is a politically exposed person with links to the PUP.
Oh.
So no one is satisfied with the acquisition, with the valuation. Social Security is not satisfied with the financials provided to them. And I think that thing is really kind of stuck. And I think the Prime Minister is under pressure to deliver. And if he doesn't, it could change the dynamic of politics. But, you know, no one will be satisfied. You know, there are former SpeedNet employees involved in the valuation, and it's just a mess. And they need to get a proper NERA level. NERA is the national, the people who did the valuation for the hydro recently, they need to get that grade of independent international valuation.
Okay.
And I just think that the entire thing, the entire project is in big trouble for good reason. And it'll be interesting to see if they still go forward with it. They're under pressure to deliver. So it's two things being pushed. So let's see where it goes.
Yeah, Jules. Now let's talk about the rise of doublespeak in public life.
Well, that leads to the rise of doublespeak because, you know, this thing we're calling the acquisition, they call that consolidation. It is a bailout. They're bailing out the investors. The investors want to cash out. And they're telling BTL, cash me out. It's a bailout. So the doublespeak is consolidation, acquisition, these benign words. It's a bailout, an $80 million bailout. But I bring up the doublespeak because when we dealt with the Port Loyola Clinic earlier in the weekend, we have the footage at the Port Loyola Clinic, guys. You know, the good and capable director. I want that video right there. You know, the good director of health services, you know, she said that, you know, it's not been looted. It's not been broken into. This is doublespeak. Doublespeak is an Orwellian term. You know, it's from the Ministry of Truth in the Orwell book, where they say, war is peace, freedom is slavery, ignorance is strength.
Wow.
That's where we are. And, you know, when the good director of health services, she said, everything takes some time. At this point where we are, ensuring that the building is in a state where it can be safely demolished. So there has not been any looting or there has not been a break-in or anything of the start. Show us the footage, good people. This building had, I mean, like, we watch a building that has clearly been rummaged, looted, rubbish. It's an eyesore. It is such a statement to the community about your value. So I understand the meeting, the building is mold infested. I really understand. And I understand it has to be demolished. And I know it can't happen overnight. But how can you say there has been a break-in when we walked right in? I guess there hasn't been a break-in because there are no doors. How can you break into a place that not got door? It's a walkthrough. But I'm saying that, listen, if there was a sheet of zinc, what some people won't do for a sheet of zinc, for a window, right? The building has, we have to talk the truth, like it's watching us. Sorry, Kevin.
And if the building is condemned for demolition, then there's a proper way how you safeguard it, then nobody's in danger of going into this building.
Exactly. It's a very bad look. When a health facility, I understand it's mold infested, good. It has to be, it's built there from 1988, it has to be redone. I understand that. But to leave it in such an ignoble and unhappy state, a place that was originally meant for healing people, a daycare for the mentally ill. That's what it was from 2006. Right?
Yes.
You're sending a message to the community.
Definitely.
Right? I'm saying that when something like that is allowed to just fester publicly, I understand it cannot be demolished and rebuilt in a day. I really do.
Yeah.
But the optics of a public festering
Yeah.
It sends the community a message. And while we're looking at this footage of all the windows gone, these windows, they didn't fall out. People take them, it's been looted.
Yeah.
Like, we can't engage
Yeah.
in double speak.
Yeah.
It happened. It's unfortunate it happened. I'm not to blame you.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, the building is an indictment unto itself about the woeful state of public health neglect.
Yeah.
It's an indictment unto itself. I don't need to elaborate on it.
Exactly. Yeah.
But I'm just saying, like, tell the children the truth, man.
Yeah,
They loot the building, we'll fix it. We'll do better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we really need that public health daycare. I know the Welcome Center is helping, but anyway.
Yeah, Jules, before we move on to the next one, some people are saying, do not rush Jules because he neglected us for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Who said this?
Some people on the Facebook Live.
Yeah.
Good, yeah.
Yeah,
So-
but the next topic, Jules, is the city can't get sidewalks.
Okay, we'll just deal with this quickly. And we have this morning's footage of the sidewalk. Yes, we do. So for weeks, they've been working on the Rock Park sidewalk, which is an area where I walk. After they unveiled it for weeks, look at the sidewalks, man. My gosh, these are... I go walk before dawn because I don't want anyone to see me. To have to be subjected to seeing me. And look at I went stumble over there, an old man, sir. I am both visually and mentally impaired. I am saying, how is it that we have dozens of these manhole, drain hole covers that were put down in 1996? They did not come from Mount Sinai in the hands of Moses like the holy tablets. And they're all perfect. They're all fit. They're all recessed. They were done in 1996, the old ones that are now broken and have to be fixed. I understand. But how in 2026, 30 years after the original covers were put, in 2026, we cannot get the basic elevation correct? I know this is a pet peeve, I understand, this is a small issue. But Mayor Bernard Wagner, now lived in Belize City, he don't have to walk like we. He lived in one of the ex-urban communities. He lived in Lagos. He don't have to worry about this. But sir, us Belize City resident man, fix the damn sidewalk correct. Just put the thing the correct level. They still have the one from the Golden Bay elevated the lip up. Lip me up. No, man, we must go do better than that, man. It's a pet peeve and a small issue, but like, come on. I know you're not Olivia Bernard, but try help those of us who do. I know it's not about the Christian concert yet. We ain't get to that. Another Christian concert plan. Me the taxpayer, me no whole No Jesus Festival. I is a non-believer. Anyway, we ain't get to that. We deal with that.
Thank you for bringing up the issue of the sidewalks, because it is a big issue, not just in that area, it's across the city.
Across the city.
Across the city.
It's an atrocity. It's an atrocity. Fix the thing, Mayor. I know you're not Olivia, but fix it for we who have to live and pay tax here.
Yeah. And then our final point, Kevin, we're moving things along with this beef. I know they said no make with Russia, but we get to the final point.
Yes, final point.
Is
Josemai.
regarding Josemai has put it.
So we saw Josemai. We have pictures of Josemai at the convention, right?
Josemai
at the
has put it
NPC.
back.
At the NPC, are we able to find those? Yeah, could we bring that up? There's Josemai, the deputy leader for the North, sitting happily beside the president. There he is standing in the Psycho Bunny shirt, looking svelte and handsome, and no back problem. The man not get the surgery. It's a miracle. Josemai is healed. Watch on right there. Look past the Prime Minister, the scroll by phone, without any security today, by the way. Look at him, because I hear the man roll on some big security in a camouflage.
What?
But hold on. But then what explains it? I want to say Josemai has put it back. He don't need surgery. Show the picture of the man. The man drink long seaweed. He put it back. He put it back. The man drink it by the 5 gallon. He put it back. That is just a joke. It's an AI image. Don't get carried away. But Josemai put it back. Man never needs surgery. Gone for the natural cure. Seaweed. Put it back. Put it back. Respect to seaweed. That's the end of it.
That's
Please save me from my own stupidity.
And don't make the people wait for so long then. They don't want to wait for the beef.
Whew, I trust me.
You've properly served the beef, Jules.
Yes, let's hope this is 3 weeks worth.
Yeah, so we're going to go into our beautiful sunrise as we wrap up our Monday morning beef and then our commercial break. Let's see the surprise sunrise. And this
wow,
is
that's
from
gorgeous.
Courtney, and she studied from Rio de Janeiro.
Oh,
Yes.
dang! Thank you,
That's
Courtney.
beautiful.
Thank you, Courtney, for
Wow.
thinking about us. Yes.
Wow, the beaches of Rio, awesome. All
Yeah.
right.
So, folks, with that, we go into our first commercial
Man,
break.
that
When we're
was
back,
long.
we move on to a recent case study. Stay tuned for that.
Stay tuned.
Hi, have you heard about the expungement of criminal records? Well, as of August 1st, 2024, the Criminal Records Rehabilitation of Offenders Act allows for you to apply to have certain criminal charges permanently erased from your record. Isn't that amazing? So, what makes you eligible to apply for expungement? The offense must qualify for expungement based on Schedule 2 and 3 of the law. You must meet the applicable rehabilitation period. This is the time period you must wait before you can apply. The applicant must not have any outstanding matters or have had any other convictions during the rehabilitation period. You can qualify for automatic expungement for certain first-time drug offenses, as well as COVID-related offenses. So, what are the benefits of expungement? Well, it broadens employment and educational opportunities that a criminal record would normally hinder. It gives you a peace of mind away from the stigma of having a criminal conviction and provides you with access to services that may be otherwise restricted. If you have a past criminal conviction, here's what you can do to get it expunged. First, verify if you qualify for expungement. Then, prepare the application package. Each package consists of 2 forms. Applications are available countrywide. You then make a non-refundable payment of $100 at your nearest Treasury Department and finally submit the package and payment receipt to any Ministry of Human Development office countrywide. Note, applicants will receive a notification within 90 days to see if their application was approved or denied. So, if you are interested, visit any Human Development office countrywide, any magistrate court, or the Ministry of Home Affairs office in Belmopan. For more information, you can call 227-2716 or you can WhatsApp 613-0343.
The roads of Belize connect us all. Riders, drivers, families, friends. Every day begins with a little routine and the confidence that life's journeys are protected. From school drop-off through the daily grind and everything in between, each with different roads ahead, yet one common goal: to arrive safely. Atlantic Insurance stands with Belize's riders and motorists with affordable protection, support, and peace of mind for the journey ahead. For the roads we share and the lives we protect, Atlantic Insurance is by your side, ensuring you from life's unexpected. Atlantic Insurance, ensuring you from life's unexpected.
Nando's Wholesale is the distributor for the full line of Badia spices, including the original complete seasoning, the perfect combination of ingredients and spices prepared to enhance the natural flavor of your favorite foods. Also, cinnamon powder for all your desserts, fruits, and beverages, and as special dishes. All these are available in commercial sizes or restaurant packaging. Nando's products are available at your local retailer or contact us at 222-5000. From Corzal to Toledo, Nando's is proud to be serving Belize as its #1 wholesale distributor for over 35 years.
These charter mints aren't
We're navigating along the coastline.
This morning,
of
the
northern
2023
Good evening.
Good evening, I'm Cherie Halsell,
And here's what's ahead for you on 7 News Tonight. We've got details of these and other stories in our newscast for tonight. good evening with your news. I'm Adore Crack.
Belize, you're watching the Nation Station, Channel 7.
Wake up to positivity and inspiration. It's a fresh and diverse twist on your mornings. Tune in to Sunup on 7 every weekday morning at 6:30 a.m. right here on your Nation Station, Channel 7. It's the morning show you don't want to miss.
The roads of Belize connect us all. Riders, drivers, families, friends. Every day begins with a little routine and the confidence that life's journeys are protected. From school drop-off through the daily grind and everything in between, each with different roads ahead, yet one common goal: to arrive safely. Atlantic Insurance stands with Belize's riders and motorists with affordable protection, support, and peace of mind for the journey ahead. For the roads we share and the lives we protect, Atlantic Insurance is by your side, ensuring you from life's unexpected. Atlantic Insurance, ensuring you from life's unexpected.
Muy buenos dias, Sunup on 7 family. Welcome back to your Monday episode. Thank you so much for welcoming Miriam and I into your space and our guests that come through today's episode. If you missed any of our conversations, you can always go back and watch our Facebook recorded live. And of course, stay tuned to our Facebook and Instagram pages to know who our guests and what conversations they bring on the show. We move on to our first conversation. Joining us on our couch, we have Caleb Orozco and Jasmine Anderson joining us. Jasmine is an independent researcher, and Caleb, you're a human rights activist and researcher. And today we're going to be talking about the civil rights protection and the economic, social, and cultural, from an economic, social, and cultural rights lens, talking about specifically LGBTQI plus persons and women. A very important and hot topic for a Monday. Yes, you definitely are stepping up to follow Jules with the heat.
Well, I can't compete with Jules. He's too sustainable.
That's a good one.
But I certainly can invest in keeping the energy going.
Very good. But so we're gonna definitely like get into that energy for this conversation.
Sure.
Before we get into that, Jasmine, how are you doing this Monday? How is your
very
energy
well,
today from
yes.
1 to 10?
I'm great. I'm probably at 12.
You're at 12?
Yes, I am ready to talk about this topic.
Very good. So like let's start with then talk about, like what was the reason y'all decided to venture into doing this research on this particular topic?
Yeah.
Well, what's your reason
Yeah,
for
let's talk about it,
joining
Jasmine.
us?
Well, I jumped on Caleb's bandwagon, truly. So Caleb has been conducting this case study for 6 years. And he was working on it when he had a draft when I first saw it. And when I read through it, I just wanted to be a part of it. And I thought I could add to it. I had a good lens based on my recent studies. And,
Okay.
and it's a very important issue. And it digs into so many small things that, that sometimes, many times don't get spoken about enough.
Did you find any relationship between, or any correlation between talking about, like women, their situation with women and the situation with LGBTQI plus persons?
Certainly.
Yeah?
There's- I mean, I put it under the umbrella of sexual inequalities, for sure.
Sexual inequality.
Yes.
Okay.
And,
Can you define that for our viewers that are tuning in and not knowing what that means?
well, I would describe it as gendered things, gendered thinking between things that we relate to femininity and masculinity, right? And on women, I mean, it's no secret. Sometimes they're discrimination just based on gender.
Yeah.
If it's your profession, your job roles, your behavior, things you cannot get away with, just social norms that that restrict, right, and limit and suppress and oppress.
Yeah.
And it's similar for LGBTQ plus community, which I'm sure Caleb could speak on more deeply.
Yeah.
Well, first, let me establish that she's a brilliant technical writer.
I love it.
An original Belizean intellect.
I love it.
And she brings deep thought to the structure of the paper. Without her, my appreciation for academic culture would be limited too. I never want to talk to these people again. But more importantly, I did spend, another organization, we did spend 6 years with a mother, a working class mother, and her child. And what we saw was the intersectionality of corruption, discrimination, identity of Afro-descendant coming together, and that has never been unpacked. So, for example, she applied for land in 2005, but because of the land's corruption, for 13 years she was removed out the system. She was entered into the system in 2018 only to then have her family try to remove her as owner of that land. But she, being a human rights, she doesn't see herself as a human rights defender, but as a natural human rights defender, she was able to build alliance, support, and we were able to get, thanks to Minister Hyde, her title and ownership of that land, but that only happened because she spoke up. Not only did she speak, because of that, the impact of that is that it eventually led to stabilizing her and her child's ability to meet their basic need for shelter.
Yeah.
Outside of that, though, the land system, I personally saw, had her file at the bottom of the pile. So this high, and they couldn't find her file until I showed up. And so it's a kind of thing in our system where we expect women to be silent, to be invisible, to not complain, to not report, to not stand up for anything, so that then they can be treated like doormat. And even where we create systems that is supposed to support women, that system itself is corrupted by the people who manage the system, whether it's bias or personal relationship, that process is corrupted. And in our work, we find time and time again, the family court process tends to be quietly corrupted and you don't understand what that means until you get into it. For her background in sociology and making the connection between gender, sexuality, and what it looks like on the ground is an important step for us to appreciate that there are tens of thousands of women out there who are human rights defenders of their children, but they get no flowers, no acknowledgement, no research that reflect the impact of their sacrifice in protecting their children.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for that, Caleb. Jasmine, let's talk about the term intersectionality, and what does that mean in this context? What are some of your findings that through your research, you came about women and LGBTQ plus persons? Because often there's like, oh, them people and them people, right? But what did you find out through your research?
That's a really important question. And before I answer it, I want to shout out to Dr. Bob from the University of Belize,
Very well.
who helped to curate this issue of the Journal of Belizean Research.
Oh, yeah.
Really
I saw it
important.
there.
Yes.
Yes.
So really important to say shout out to her. To put some context, right? The reason we're here discussing this and the reason why this paper is so important is because of human rights. We are a member of the United Nations. Every member of the United Nations signs on to its mandate to protect human rights and international law. So there's that. And of course, we also have local legislation like the Domestic Violence Act, like Families and Children's Act, and lots of other legislation that should protect human rights or rights of every Belizean. Right? And so, of course, the way laws are written and exist, and which is the de jure equality, the legal equalities that we're all given, the reality on the ground, is not the same, right? So the de facto realities are different. And so for women, while we have these legislations and different legislations and people openly say, yes, you're equal, there's formal equality. You can go out, find work, go to school, do things, and actually women are excelling at education, you know, more than their counterparts. But gender norms and traditional gender expectations still have an impact.
Yeah.
And so to answer a question, this similarity that I find between women and LGBTQ is just that, is the de facto reality. And I think actually LGBTQ, because we're a conservative society, right? I mean, it's very much still taboo to talk about LGBTQ rights and things like people don't want to hear it. But we have Belizeans who are part of that community.
Yeah.
So we have to talk about it. And the intersectionality is the compounding of different roles that we have that maybe we don't choose, but because there's so many discrimination and stigma attached to those roles, if it's your ethnicity, if it's your gender, if it's your economic status, if it's even your geographic location where you live, right? Your opportunities might be less, or people might treat you differently because of those things.
Yeah.
And I think the participant in this case study, miraculously, in my opinion, has found a way, of course, through the help of Unibom, to navigate and manage tremendous stress for herself, being a Garifuna woman, being a woman of limited resources, being a woman who herself survived gender-based violence and intimate partner violence. And then, of course, now she's managing the rights of her self-identified LGBTQ son, who has faced his own amount of assault, physical assault and emotional assault within the education system, which I think could be an entire research paper on its own.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah, so maybe Caleb can talk about that a little bit more.
Yeah.
In essence, it's funny because repression isn't just about bullets, it's also psychological warfare. And in this particular case, it just needs the perception of sexuality, not necessarily the reality of sexuality, to then create the tax and so the use of sexuality tends to emasculate or becomes toxic for a young individual still going through their discovery of what it means to have a sexuality or what it means to manage your feelings. So that's part one. Part two, for this young fellow, there's the issue of where he lives and being vulnerable to being labeled guilt by association, violent, which is not necessarily true, but because you live in an area and you fit a certain profile, you become a state threat, if you will, and they put your picture in a database, even though you're the victim of a problem. And they don't solve that problem, and that kind of thing. The other element of that is the struggle of just maturing as a 15-year-old, trying to make friends and developing your social skills that have its own developmental issues, which complicates the situation. Because what do you do with regards to these issues of what's the word? I call it quiet homophobia, attached to then the perception of where you live and then struggling each and every single day to try and meet your basic needs like food. What do you do? In my mind, it creates a psychology specifically for the mother of anxiety every single day. And in that regard, it doesn't take much for her to be triggered or snap or be worried. Just recently, I was told she calls him to while he's in school to check on whether he's all right.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
That's the kind of anxiety she lives under until she can be assured her son is safe.
Well, the psychological and the emotional abuse that person is getting exposed, like both of them. Yeah.
And both of them have come to appreciate, because of the disappointment and the betrayal of the system, that there is no trust, there is no justice for poor people.
Yeah, so in leading into this question, you talked about this just now with the fear and the anxiety with the mother. The child's obviously experiencing that as well. So I have a question in regards to their safety. How did that affect the way that the research was done and the confidentiality of the research was done? Like, I'm sure it did, you know.
Well, we anonymized the name, so we gave them fake names.
Okay.
And we limited much of the information that could be identifiable.
Okay.
And so I'm proud of that because they get to live their life without the issue, without the labels, if you will.
Yeah.
But what I will say from the mother's mouth herself, when we discussed this paper with her, she said, well, I could tell you more. And I'm like, wait. We don't have 20 extra pages.
Yeah.
The whole study.
What do you think was her like motive of saying, I can tell you more? Is it because like she has more things that have happened to her? Like, why do you feel like she was very forthcoming in saying, I have more to share?
Well, I will sit here and tell you anything dreamy like. But over 6 years, she has come to appreciate her voice.
Very well.
Her power to speak.
Yeah.
And the value of being visible when speaking about her issue. And for a person like me who knows very well discovering your voice, it felt like robbing her of that opportunity to speak on her issue and owning it. Unfortunately, this is a technical process, and we're limited to 25 pages.
But, you know, like I know, like you're doing the research. However, reflecting on what you just shared, it's very good that you were able to create that space, and I'm sure she very much needed just to, like, share what was happening with her, because in a society where, you know, like women's rights are discriminated, you know, like where rights of like LGBTQ plus persons, especially young people, are muffled. You know, the fact that she was able to share this with you and you created a safe space for that, I have to say thank you for doing that. I want to move back to the research, and now let's talk about, you know, it's a socioeconomic research that you conducted. For somebody that was to grab the document, what are some of the thematic areas that you feel like are highlighted that contributes to the socioeconomic challenges that women and LGBTQI plus persons are facing?
I think if anybody were to read that paper, I hope what it gives them or brings to them is just validation. Because this is a qualitative study. And it's a case study, which means that it's based on our lived experience.
I love that.
And it's one participant. But one is enough.
Yeah.
Right? We don't say that all Belizeans are equal, and then we say, oh, except when. No, like we're all equal, right? So yes, it's this one participant. But the point of the research is to give her agency.
Yeah.
And you asked just now a really important question, like what caused her, what made her want to say more? Yeah. Well, when you are listened to and validated, it makes you want to speak up, right? As opposed to when you are just ignored, when your lived experiences and these things are happening to you, and then you're just dismissed or it's minimized, right? So she got agency. And of course, that's empowerment.
Yeah.
People talk about women's empowerment. I think that's what it sounds like. And I think that's what it looks like. People want to say more because it helps her. And then she's also wanting to help other people. To add to the question you asked about confidentiality, we got her written consent, right? And Caleb shared the paper with her before we sent it.
Okay.
And so she wanted to participate even as a co-creator of the paper. So she wanted to really lend her voice and experiences to it. So somebody reading that paper, what I want them to read into it is not just to say, well, yes, I mean, ethnicity affects economic, cultural, lived experiences. Being a woman is difficult. We all know being a parent is difficult. A single parent, as she is difficult, of 2 boys. And at the end of it, that, this experience is real. And if I know somebody and if I experience this, it's real for me too. You know, and so that's human rights, right? Those are the articles, those are the things written out in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, that we're all created equal with inherent dignity. Right? So that's the thing. I mean, that's the reason why we press for this.
There's another element to
Go for
this,
it,
and
yeah.
that is I've worked in feminist spaces on women issues for years. And what this case study brings up is the relationship between women vulnerability and us being protected. And so it establishes where women are vulnerable to violence, we are vulnerable to violence. Where women stand up for us, we have a responsibility to stand up for women's issues. And in that regard, the case study doesn't establish, but it begs the question, under the Constitution's framework under which we are governed, has the state failed deliberately in the marginalization of its own populations? And it begs another question, and that is, does the state feel any obligation to then live up marginalized populations' quality of life in a way that they feel welcome as full citizens in the country? This, in 2026, that will be answered clearly. What I do know is that in the Spotlight Initiative a few years ago, they said they were here to end violence against women and girls. In 2026, we learned that 5 women were killed in 20 days. So how does that slogan work in the state commitment to women? And so these are the kind of policy issues or challenges that has to be unpacked with regards to leveraging the paper for change.
Okay.
Yeah, so this topic obviously is like so dear to my heart. I mean, I grew up with a human rights activist. I think I was telling, I don't know if it was you or Brendan last week, my mom was a part of BRWA, Belize Rural Women's Association. So they used to travel around to villages and I would see the work that they would do. And I always have this question where we do this research. It's very important to do this, to have these conversations, but how can we change like culturally? Because it's such a big part of the culture that women, like the vulnerability is exploited, you know, if you're LGBT, oh, that's exploited. If you're a child, that's exploited. Like you can't change people's mindsets. You can't change, if that's the mindset of a group of people in an area, it's gonna continue. And that would always be my little like sad, hopeless thought. Like when we would travel around with my mom, they're doing their best, they're doing this work. But how can you spark that change? And what the work that they were doing was going into the villages and empowering the women, letting them know their rights. But when they leave, does that still stand? You know what I mean? So what was the support that you provided for the mother, besides being there to validate her feelings and things like that? What are in place, whether there are small things in place or not, what is in place that can continue to empower her and women like her? Because it seems like such a big...
It is. It's a big undertaking, and that's the thing. I mean, CEDA, Article 5, and what is it, 10 or 15, right? Women, the state should... CEDA, which is the Convention to End All Discrimination Against Women, the state should ensure that women are equal before the law and equal culturally. So the question you asked just now is trying to strike a balance between those two things. So that the state could, for all its great intention, provide all this legislation that says women are equal, women are this, women are that. But then culturally, if the norms are such that women will feel guilty, will be intimidated, will be assaulted silence for standing up for themselves or their children, that is also a big issue, right? And so how do you address that? I think education, of course, is important. I think sensitizing our judiciary is very important. I mean, sometimes women actually do the thing that they tell them to do, right? Women actually use their personal agency, go to the family court or whichever court, and then in that court, in that setting, because they're not sensitized to think of women's issues that way, then they're dismissed. You know, my dissertation was based on women's experiences in the Belize family court. And these were educated, working class women who have gone to the family court for various reasons. And the one broad theme was just the dismissal that they faced, was just the people or personnel in the court treating them more like children. I think Caleb calls it the infantilization of women. Like
yeah, or your own.
Yeah. Yeah, yes.
So
yeah, it's not that. You're actually one woman, they explained, you know, they go to she was in the family court, and the court was just like, well, you know, he's already doing enough. I mean, what could we do?
Wow.
You know, one person went to the court, the thing was adjourned 4 times, and finally she couldn't get the time off to go to the court, and then by the last time her case was dismissed. Right? So sensitizing the judiciary is very important, as well as educating women. But you see, in my mind, this is not a women's issue. It's everybody's issue.
I agree.
So we have to sensitize men and boys and that sort of thinking too, because women can't save themselves. Women are not trying to save themselves from themselves. Right? Remember last September we had right.
Perpetrators are.
Right. Predominantly, you know, men and intimate partners. So remember last September? Remember we had all those 4 cases, I think, to back to back.
Yeah.
And everybody was talking about it then. Well, guess what? It's still happening now.
Still happening, yeah. And it's been happening.
Didn't stop,
Yeah.
right? And those were big because it was physical, right? One woman was burnt alive, and her son.
That was.
But coercive control happens all the time.
Yeah.
Coercive control is a non-physical version where you're intimidated, your dignities and everything is oppressed, and people wonder, well, how could it happen? Well, it happens.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and you don't have to be an uneducated person for it to happen to you.
The biggest mistake here in our system is thinking that you can throw some men and boys in a workshop and change happen. It does not happen that way. It is a journey, and the investment required for attitudinal change is generational. Unfortunately, the investment we make in change at an individual level is project-based. And so we'll continue to have these terrible stories and positive statements and opportunities for support, but not real commitment to transfer that investment into fairness, whether it's legislatively, whether it's regulation-wise, or whether the court system looks at these issues through a psychological lens, or look at these issues in a non-legal way to then facilitate the change that is needed.
Well, Caleb, I have to say that this conversation definitely has people polarized, you know, which is good, right? Because it definitely causes a conversation to take place.
Yeah.
For anybody that takes a hold of this research that you've conducted, how do you want them to use this paper, and what? And you're talking about, you know, like we need to see some kind of change happening in our spaces for women and for everybody to feel safe. So, like, whenever somebody grabs this document, what kind of how would you want them to use it, and what kind of change do you hope comes up from people that would read this document?
I think I want them to use it. I wish people at the tertiary level would use the entire issue of the Belizean Journal, right? Not just this paper, the entire
I agree.
thing.
There's so many great articles there.
So many great papers in there. And I hope that gender and gender studies is something that we want to talk about more. And even that word has become,
people
sort
get,
of
I'm feeling touchy about the word genders.
Right. So I hope that paper helps to dispel some of that. Talking about gender isn't talking about some hidden crazy agenda to change the society in some backward, crazy way. No, gender is talking about how gender impacts your lived experience, your everyday experience. If it's your economic stability, if it's your cultural, the way you get treated in your society, you know, the opportunities handed to yourself and your children.
Yeah.
Gender has a role to play because we are so attached to it.
Yeah.
You know, there's so much that we associate with it. You know, if there's this, oh, stop act like a girl, stop act like a boy, you know, that's, you know, I mean, everything is gendered. Even if you look at employment, that women are predominantly more in certain sectors than men, and look at our cabinet, you know. We make up half of the population, and how much of cabinet? I think 4 or 6%, right? So there's not those still existing disparities, and people will want to say, sure, women have all opportunities and freedoms. Yes, that's public, and those are but it doesn't translate the same way. And I hope studies like that one, like ours, help to bring and ignite some of those questions. Like, yes, women can go to school, yes, women can work, but I wonder how they live in their personal life. I wonder why women continue to experience intimate partner violence, and why we have these issues like what we saw last September.
And for the person that's feeling, ruffled about this, what message would you have to share to them?
That's healthy.
Okay.
Be skeptical. I mean, but be a critical thinker too. And it's good to be uncomfortable. Read things that make you uncomfortable. Not because you want to be convinced of something you don't believe in, but to be informed.
Yeah.
To be informed so that when you talk about the issue, no matter where you're coming from, if you're coming from a religious point, you're coming from whatever it is, at least you know what the other side has to say. And at least you're sensitized to that. Right? And maybe you could compromise and meet somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, I agree.
At the core of this, I want mothers to see themselves as human rights defenders of their children.
They are.
We see their doctors, their cooks, their house managers, their teachers, but at the core of what they do is that they defend the human rights of their children every single day. If it's missing, they go find it. If there's a problem, they go fix it. If there's an issue with health, they go find the treatment. So that's what they're doing every single day. The next element of this is for men to recognize that women have been contributing free labor as citizens to them for generations. And as such, it doesn't hurt to acknowledge that contribution that women provide in their lives on a day-to-day basis. The third aspect of this is recognizing that toxic masculinity isn't a benefit to anybody in this country if we can't encourage the family structure to heal. The evangelicals, they always say the natural family. I'd like to reframe that and speak to natural intent to secure the emotional well-being or the well-being of the family. So all can have a quality of life that matters.
Wow.
Thank you.
Folks, thank you so much for joining us today to bring this conversation. And definitely, it's a hard pill to swallow for some. And you definitely keep the fire going from the Monday morning beef. So I have to thank you for this. As you wrap up the conversation, Jasmine, you mentioned this research is available for people to read. Can you share with our viewers where can they get a copy of this?
I think you could definitely visit the UB website, right? It's on the Journal of Belizean Studies. I think you've just gone there, you could find a link. It's digital. I don't know if there are hard copies of it. But
so digital at the University of Belize's website.
Yes.
Very good.
For sure. And I would want everybody to read the other papers as well. This is a part of a special issue on human rights, right? That Dr. Bob put
I think it's like issue
together.
4 or something like that. Yeah, there's great, it's a great list of like research that have been published for sure. I'm taking a look.
And it's amazing. I mean, it's such a joy to know that Belize is the want and the rigor and the zest for academic studies is truly taking, like
I can definitely see it's your space also, because by the energy you put into it.
Yes, I am so happy to be a part of it.
I love
it's
it.
exciting.
I love it. Yes. So we look forward to a future research that you'll conduct, and definitely you always have an invitation to come to Sunup on 7 for us to engage in that conversation. Wish you folks a great Monday and a great week ahead.
Thank you for doing this.
Thank you. With that, folks, we go into our next commercial break. When we're back, we continue with great conversations on Sunup on 7. Stay tuned.
These charter winds aren't
We're navigating along the coastline.
This morning, the 2023
Good evening. Good evening. I'm Sheree Culsel, and here's what's ahead for you on 7 News Tonight. We've got details of these and other stories in our newscast for tonight. Good evening. With your news, I'm Indra Craft.
Belize, you're watching the Nation Station, Channel 7.
All right. On the one fun day on, the window open and the light may turn off. It look like you listen to me, Jamie.
Not only that, I even get a new coffee mug. We keep my coffee hot all day.
I'm impressed. You don't look like you're so hard here.
Better than that, BL can change my meter to one of their new smart meter. They call it the AMI.
Oh, I hear about it on TV for a BL ad, you know.
Yes, man. It don't reach the man the better to change it right now. Let's go check it out.
Hey guys, I'm almost done here.
So that when you are reach my area,
we're upgrading meters across Belize, house by house, business by business. Always look out for BL logo, uniforms, and IDs. BL will make you know when we're in the area. The EMI meter rollout is a part of BL strategy to modernize our energy services.
You don't need to come in at my house, right?
Come in at your house, boss, only if you got something good for you.
BEL, bringing you a brighter tomorrow. Welcome to the V Department Store. We are conveniently located on Coney Drive in Belize City. That's right on Coney Drive in Belize City. At the V Department Store, we offer a wide variety of groceries, cosmetics, kitchen appliances, kitchenware, electronics, and more. We've also recently expanded to the second floor to better meet your household and office furniture needs. We now have a wide variety of furniture, home decor, and accessories. We have a shared vision for a comfortable and customer-friendly shopping experience. Visit us today and be warmly greeted by our reasonable prices and cordial staff. The V Department Store. Experience the ultimate shopping destination.
These charter winds aren't
We're navigating along the coastline.
This morning, the 2023
Good evening. Good evening. I'm Sheree Culsel, and here's what's ahead for you on 7 News Tonight. We've got details of these and other stories in our newscast for tonight. Good evening. With your news, I'm Indra Craft.
Belize, you're watching the Nation Station, Channel 7.
Good Good morning, Sunup on 7 family. Welcome back to your Monday episode. Thank you so much for engaging with Miriam and I and our guests. And we move on to our next conversation. Our friends from Sagicor are here today to talk about mortgage protection. What is it? Why should you care? And how can you access these services? Those are the very important questions that are going to get answered today. And joining us on our couch to guide us through this process, we have Amy Forte, Nikita Smith, and Melvita Thompson joining us. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for joining us on Sunup on 7 today. It's a very important conversation.
Yes.
Mortgage protection.
Yes, thank you for having us.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you for being here. So, for the people listening, what exactly is mortgage protection? And, why should they care? Why should homeowners care?
Well, mortgage protection is basically a life insurance that is specifically designed to pay off your loan balance, your mortgage balance, so that in case of you pass away, your family don't have to worry about paying off your
Look at that.
mortgage,
Okay.
right? So they don't have to grieve you as well as grieve the loss of your home, right?
Yes, that's very real.
Okay.
That's very, very real. Is this something that's new or is this something that has always been available?
It's always been available. At the point of getting your mortgage, your options are available. But most times, a man's home is his castle, so we're just thinking, huge milestone, oh my gosh, I have my own home. We often don't think about, okay, what are my options for protecting this home, because we're building memories with our families. If we're not here, what happens? How are they taken care of? So oftentimes we just sign off at the bank and we go with whatever insurance is offered. So what we want to do today is, give you your option so you can make a strong decision to protect your home, to protect your family.
So in that regard, is this something, like you said, people sign this off with the bank whenever they get a mortgage? Is this like an automatic thing, like the mortgage protection that the bank offers?
I wouldn't say it's automatic, but oftentimes because we're just excited that we've gotten the mortgage,
course,
right?
yeah.
We just tell me where to sign
Yeah.
and let's get it started, right?
Okay.
But these are things that we should really be thinking of when we're going, or even before you go in for your mortgage, as you're planning for it, because it's not to say that you have to wait until you get your mortgage. It's a mortgage is not an overnight process, so we can take it in baby steps and break it down.
Okay. So is this something that they need to request separately? How does it work getting a mortgage protection?
The mortgage protection, your financial institution is obligated to let you know that, you have the option to choose. This is what we have to offer, but you can also look for your individual coverage.
Okay.
So today, that's what we want to break down. What's the difference between if I go with my financial institution or if I get my own?
I like that.
Okay.
So,
Did you want to add? Yeah.
Do you want to address that? Why should somebody go for an indivial mortgage protection or go with
Right. There are major differences between the two. And like my colleague said, people are so excited about this that they automatically just want to move immediately ahead with everything that the bank has available. But looking at your individual coverage, there are more benefits for you. And so, we highly recommend for financial health that you consider comparing the two and see what works for you, because you might have additional needs in addition to the mortgage, right? So what we do is highlight the differences.
I like that word, financial health.
Yes.
It's not something that we would coin around very often, but what are some of the benefits of getting a mortgage protection on your own?
Yeah.
Right. So for your own individual life coverage, you have the added benefit of having a family protection added onto it. So getting a mortgage protection at the bank or through the bank, it's called a creditor life insurance. And that basically just covers the mortgage itself. So that guarantees that if I pass away while paying off this mortgage, it will automatically pay out whatever is the balance on your mortgage. So if you have a $500,000 mortgage and you passed away and your balance was $250,000, the $250,000 would be all that is paid off, right? With your creditor life insurance.
Right. Okay.
But with your individual life insurance coverage, you have the added benefit of being insured for the full $500,000. So if you pass away at whatever balance you have owing to the bank, the full $500,000 is what is paid out. So with that, you're able to pay off your mortgage and you're able to protect your family as well. There are other needs that you may have or your family will have. While they're grieving, you don't want them to grieve financially as well.
Yeah.
Right? So,
yeah.
There's a lot of additional benefits that my colleagues can touch on, but those are some of the few.
Okay.
Okay, that's really good. And while you were talking just now about that, I was thinking of insurance in general, when people think of insurance or protection, they're like, oh God, this is another bill I have to pay. So can you talk about, is it more expensive or, the protection for the mortgage? Like, is it a little more like, how do you get people to say, actually, this is something that I need? It's just not, oh gosh, it's another bill that I have to pay, something else that I have to worry about.
It varies. And like we said, you'd have to compare. So if you have an advisor, you have a discussion, or you can always call us if you don't have an advisor, and we look at it, because sometimes it works out to a bit more, sometimes it works out to less, but the benefits are always more on your side. Your individual policy is portable. So if you have a creditor insurance with your mortgage and 10 years down the road you want to refinance, even though it's the same bank, you would have to get another coverage, another under it. Whereas with your individual coverage, if you would have paid down whatever that is, it remains the same. Or if you want to move to another bank, it's portable.
Okay. Okay, and for people watching now, our Sunup on 7 family, and everyone watching, if they're watching and they're like, well, why I need to do this? Like, what is that? What is it for? Like, what do I need to know about my coverage, and what does it mean to refinance, and why should I do that? Why should I go forward with that? Yeah.
Well, what you would do right now, if you have a mortgage, is get your documents, review them, and if you don't have them, contact your loan officer or your bank to get it, to see what it covers, because sometimes people think they are covered.
Okay.
Or they don't know what exactly they're covered for, and if they're covered for the specific amount to pay off their mortgage, or this defined print, right? So I would say get your documents, and you could schedule a consultation with us.
Okay.
Right.
And how is the consultation process like?
You call us, and we will.
Yeah.
It's all very simple.
We don't complicate it. We'll break it down for you. Just give us a call. We set the appointment,
Because it seems
and we
very
guide you
intimidating.
through.
No, you call us. We're very friendly, and we can come to you, or you can come to our office. We make it very convenient, or it could be virtual as well.
Okay.
Right? And we would give right now we're giving free financial advice.
Okay.
Yeah, free insurance advice, right?
Okay, that's really good to know.
Okay, and then the insurance now for people who may think, isn't this covered under my life insurance? Like, wouldn't my mortgage, everything be protected under that, or no? Like, what's the difference?
Okay, so one of the major differences, and also that we want to do, because when we initially get your mortgage, I mean, in our heads, we're working, we're going to be paying this mortgage, but life happens. We end up defaulting. With the bank, the mortgage payment is always taken out first, right? And under Belize laws, if you miss 3 payments, it goes non-performing. Once it goes non-performing, your creditor insurance falls away.
Okay.
With your individual insurance, maybe you don't have that $1,300 to pay monthly, but you can find that $121 to pay the life insurance if something happens in between. Your mortgage is still protected.
Okay.
Right? So it gives you that control. And like you rightly asked, what if you're already in the mortgage, right?
Yeah.
Can you still review your options? Yes, you can, because at any point you can switch in between and say, you know what, I want to get out my individual coverage now and assign it to the bank. You're able to do that.
Very good.
Okay, and it goes over if you switch banks as well?
Yes, you're able to reassign it to another bank.
Oh, well, that's good. So you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, so you really retain control, because the creditor life, the bank owns it. With your individual policy, you own it. So you're able to name beneficiaries. With the creditor life, the bank is a beneficiary. It's specific to the mortgage. So like Miss Nikita said, if I take out a mortgage for $500,000, my premium is $500,000. So most times your premium remains the same, but your coverage reduces as you pay down the mortgage.
All right, very good.
And another thing I want to mention too, you own this, so you're in control of it, right? With the creditor life, the bank owns it, right? So they're basically looking out for the bank's interest.
And you're protecting
right?
your
And we understand that. They need to make sure that I'm lending you this money. If you don't pay it back, how am I going to get it back?
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
So with your own individual coverage, you have power and control over your life insurance. You get to say who your beneficiaries are, how much you want. And then in addition, if I finish paying off this mortgage and I want to be a high achiever and get a second mortgage or a third mortgage, I'm able to use this same life insurance to assign it to those other mortgages, right?
Okay.
So this plan goes with you through life, you know, as your life is changing.
Okay.
So, And, when you're at the bank, if you're refinancing or you're leaving to go to another bank, you don't get to take that creditor life insurance with you. But you can take your own individual life coverage with you to the other financial institution.
Okay. So for the viewers that are connected to this conversation and say, I really need to go and discuss mortgage protection.
Yeah.
And we already know there's free consultation that you're offering virtually, also through a phone call. What requirements do you need for them to move on and say, I want to get a mortgage protection with Sagicor?
Just come as they are.
Okay.
Everybody's situation is different, so we'll have that conversation. We'll guide them through. If they already have their documents, they can bring it. If not, we'll guide them on what to request and how to move forward.
Okay. Can they find out more details on your website for them to know what documents are required and all of these things? Yeah? Is that possible?
No, it's tailored specifically to each individual person, so that's why we do individual conversation to understand what their needs are and what we may need based on what they're required.
All right, so it's time for us to start wrapping up on this conversation. Yeah. Can you share with us, what are the opening hours and the days when they can reach out for a consultation? And if you were to send one very important message to our viewers as to why they should get mortgage protection. I'm sure they've connected with it at some point, but that last message would be you need mortgage protection. What would that be?
Right. Okay, so I would say mortgage is definitely one of the biggest commitments that many of us make in our lives, right? That is legacy building, it's family building. We look at a home, we build that for our families and for families to come, right? So you're making an important decision at this point, and you want to be able to protect this, not just get the mortgage, but you also need to make sure that you continue to protect it throughout the maturity of it so that you can keep it. So I want to encourage those persons who are thinking about getting a mortgage, have a mortgage already, or would like to explore other options. You haven't yet started about it, but maybe this is giving you the idea to, have the conversation with us. Sit down with us. It's 30 minutes. Can be longer depending on your situation, but have the discussion with us. We will go through your financials. We will have a discussion about your goals, what you want for yourself. We do not just do mortgage protection, but we discuss retirement planning, family protection, health protection. So we do a holistic discussion with our prospects. Financial health discussion, right, with our prospects. And so have the conversation. That's all I want to encourage you to. Even if you're not yet ready, have the conversation, know what your options are, know what you may qualify for, know what it may cost to get life insurance, and then make your plan to proceed, whether it be now or in the future, right? And if you would like to have that conversation, there's myself, Miss Amy, and Miss Melvina, who are more than willing to have this conversation with you. I'll give my number and they can share theirs. So mine is 614-2976 for anybody who wants to reach out to me and have a conversation.
Very well.
My number is 610-5393.
5393.
And I'm 610-4399, and we're available. I would want to say 24/7, but I mean, because we know persons work, so our time really, we accommodate persons.
We're very flexible.
Very good. Thank you so much for sharing the contact information, the importance why they should get it. I definitely also connected with, in case you were to pass, your relatives, they also know that, they don't have to go grieving that you're lost, but they also know hey, you have some sort of safeguard. Yeah.
Right. Right.
Yes, definitely. A very important conversation. Thank you so much for bringing it to Sunup on 7.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Miriam, it's 8:29. It's also time for us to wrap up our show today. So we want to thank Caleb and Jasmine for joining us today to talk about the socioeconomic research on LGBTQI plus persons and women. And of course, we want to thank Jules for joining us today on the Monday Morning Beef conversation.
Yeah. As the Sunup family said to Jules, don't leave us again for 2-3 weeks.
Yeah.
You need to beef regularly every week.
I mean, when he comes back though, so.
Intense, yeah. So we hope that you all enjoyed it. We did, Kevin and I
definitely
through most of it.
It was a good one.
Yeah, it was a good one. And I feel like the show went really fast today, Kevin, but, sometimes it feels like that, yeah?
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
But thank you all for having me. I'm always grateful to be here with you. I'll see you again soon. as I'll be here with you throughout the week.
All right.
But yeah, but like I always say, I leave people with saying, stay grateful, stay blessed. Once you're grateful for what you have, you see your blessings, and then you get more blessings. So stay grateful, stay blessed, please.
Any motivational message you'd like to leave for our viewers today? It's Monday, it's the start of the week.
Yes.
Gratitude, I'm with you, dear.
Yeah,
Be
gratitude.
grateful.
How are you?
Gratitude.
Yeah?
Be present.
Be present.
Yeah,
I like
good
that.
one.
Yeah,
I like that.
definitely, yeah.
Yeah, so once
And
more,
you?
thank you so much. I just want to say thank you so much for joining us. It's always so valuable sharing time with you through your screen, wherever you're watching us from. We do not take you for granted. Your conversations and your input is always highly valuable for us to get our community perspective sharing. So once more, stay tuned to our Facebook and Instagram pages to know who our guests and what conversations they bring forward to the show. We wish you a great start of the week. We love you, and we'll see you again tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Bye. And now we
Watch me dance, dance the night away. My heart could be burning, but you won't see it on my face. Watch me dance, dance the night away. I'll still keep the party running A place to call your home, a place where you can grow. Stand by me and we'll take flight. We'll be there at morning's light. I've got you covered on all concerns we share today. You will discover how the world turns each day. When the sun comes up